restructuring America to an authoritarian regime.
You're teaching children to hate others because of their skin color, and you're forcing them to lie about other kids' gender. I am disgusted by your bigotry.
And that was in Virginia. And you remember that was a very big part of the gubernatorial race there that led to the success of that particular platform. I want to bring in CNN political commentator Scott Jennings and Hillary Rosen. And, you know, you have to wonder, I'll start with you, Scott, when you think about all of this that's happening, I mean, you heard part of that, the chaos there, and there were hundreds, if not thousands of other examples. I mean, schools have become really the ground zero for everything that, from critical race theory discussions, mask mandates, you had book bans. I'm wondering if you think that the culture wars have played a role in this shortage that we are now seeing.
I'm sure for some people it has. I mean, I think the old stressors are still there. You know, workload, classroom responsibilities, pay, feeling like they don't get enough support from leadership. Yeah, I think those things have been present for a long time, but these are obviously new stressors for this profession. And, you know, also just for all professions nationwide, we have a reduction right now in the United States in the overall labor participation rate, so I'm sure the teaching profession is not immune from that. So I think it's probably part of it. I don't think it's all of it. I think one major issue here is still overhang from the pandemic. I mean, remember, the schools were closed in most places for a very long time. And I do think, A, that was a mistake. It's been proven to have been a mistake. And B, it put teachers under a lot of pressure to try to teach kids via screens at home. And I have kids that did it. I mean, it just didn't work. And we've had massive learning loss, and it put a lot of pressure on these teachers to do something that they weren't initially trained to do, and it was probably never destined to work. I think that's probably part of it too, candidly.
I mean, Hillary, you know,
well, I think that's a complicated question. I think we need a conversation among all the stakeholders. I do think politicians are just responding to their constituents, who happen to be the parents that have the kids in the schools. I mean, the one thing about the pandemic, when we closed the schools and we did the distance learning, it put more parents in closer touch with their kids' classrooms than they'd ever been. They learned more about curriculum. They learned more about how learning is done. They learned more about you know, just school interactions than they probably had ever known. And it gave them a sense of empowerment, frankly, and I think a sense of, you know, hey, I could be more impactful than I have been. So now you have all this extra parental involvement. I don't think that's a bad thing. I do think we need collaboration between parents and teachers. I do think one of the things that is going on in classrooms potentially is that teachers don't feel supported by parents as much as they should. I think collaboration is a good thing. So, you know, I don't think it has to be one or the other, candidly. I think teachers have expertise, they have education, they have knowledge, they ought to be able to do that. I think parents, I mean, look, this is the reason I'm on this earth, is to make my kids, give them a chance to have a better life than I had, and that's via education. So, yeah, I'm going to be involved in my kids' school. I think for everybody involved, talking collaboratively, respecting each other, we all have roles to play here, is the right attitude for all the parties involved.
Well, that last motion, well, both of you make such great
of all
points
the people involved.
Sorry, I was going to say, go ahead, Scott.
I think there's a lot of voices. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of voices involved in these schools. The people that I actually trust the most are the teachers and the parents, because they're the ones who are the most directly involved with the children. You know, the children go home to their parents and they spend all day with the teachers. The politicians are a step removed. The teachers' unions are a step removed, and I think they've been pretty bad, frankly, for schools and the teaching profession lately, as we saw in the pandemic. So to me, the people I really want to hear from are the teachers and the parents, because they have the most interaction with the kids, and the other people, to me, are secondary.
Well, I'll tell you